Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. This is the match preview for Everton versus Arsenal. The Toffees are looking to get their first win of the season at Goodison Park against a team they've got a very good record against. And here to assess the prospects of our great club, I've got Dave Weston with me. Mr. Wes, how are you doing?
Evening, right after the late afternoon, whatever time it is. I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice to see you. We've got a good record against Arsenal at Goodison. Even last season when they were fighting for the title, we managed to get a 1-0 win. James Tarkowski straight from the corner. Could we get a repeat on Sunday afternoon?
I think we can. I honestly think they're very beatable. I think we're going into this game with obviously getting a draw against Sheffield United. Wasn't an ideal result, but I think it'll boost our confidence getting the points away from home. And like you say, we beat them last season with what I think was a worse team than what we've got now. I'm not sure what your opinion is on that. I think we're stronger up front, definitely.
I prefer the first 11 we've got now. I think if we've had 11 players of this season versus 11 players from last season, I think we could put a better 11 out. I'd say the fullbacks are a weak issue, but I wouldn't say they're any worse than last season, really. And I just think the difference is Arsenal have got that consistency. I'm looking at their results from this season. They beat Crystal Palace. They had 10 men in that game. They clung on. They beat Nottingham Forest at home 2-1. Forest got a late goal back. They beat City on penalties in the Community Shield, but I'm not reading too much into that. And they drew at home Fulham, who had 10 men. And then, of course, the United game, I watched that one. They beat them 3-1, but Man United had a goal ruled out for a fractional offside at one, and it was fingernails at best. And then Arsenal sucker punched them and then got the late goal when United had committed so many people forward. But wasn't an awful lot in terms of how that could have swung late in that game. But, the consistency is, so they're unbeaten this season. And then you look back at the results last season. They were just so consistent. They only really lost in that. Well, I tell a lie. They lost to Forest at the end of the season. They lost to Brighton as well. And I think that was and lost to City. And I think the draws with Southampton and West Ham there late and Liverpool, I think they just kind of crumbled. But for the majority, I'd say up till April, they were just completely dominant, brushing everyone aside. So it depends. Are we going to get an Arsenal that, towards the end of last season was dropping off, or are we going to have a rejuvenated Arsenal that is on a good run this season overall with the points and is certainly very competitive? In terms of injury news, there's it to talk about. Just very briefly welcome everyone to the stream and to the comments. And if you're watching back, that much appreciated. And of course, always make sure you like and subscribe. I do apologize. John Roskin was meant to be on the stream, but there was a miscommunication. He's not available. So Wes has kindly stepped in and taken the supportive role for this stream. So just talk about injuries for Everton first and foremost. Jack Harrison back in first team training, wearing number 11. That was Damari Gray's number. Of course, he left and has gone to Saudi Arabia. Also, Calvert-Lewin back full training, looking fresh in the training videos from what I saw. And of course, Yusuf Chamiti is there as well. So along with Beto, Danjuma, McNeil, all available. McNeil will have put some work in over these past couple of weeks to get himself in a much better condition, and you'd say he's in contention to start this game. And Harrison looks like he's had a few days training as well, but I would suspect he wouldn't start. So we'll bring in Wes on this in a moment to talk about lineups. But he's back in full training, which is great to see. And in midfield, there wasn't any sign in the video today that I saw of Amadou Onana, Shum and Mikalenka and Jordan Pickford. I'm assuming this was recorded perhaps yesterday. Perhaps just before the international break, players came back. Do expect them to be back, and we'll find out a little bit more on Friday about Sean Dyche's press conference with regards to the state of the international players. But it's a sad state of affairs, really, that Everton haven't actually got many international players anymore. We've only got Jordan Pickford, Mikalenko, and Onana really in there who went away as far as I can remember. So you'd assume they're all okay. You hope they're okay. And would be in contention. So we haven't really got many injuries there. There's still no sign of Andre Gomez. Talk is that he's negotiating a move with Fenerbahce. They've still got their window open. I think it closes tomorrow, which is a bit silly for me. I personally wouldn't like to see him leave unless we're getting a good fee and it's a permanent transfer, or at least a loan with all his wages covered, because you look at how many central midfielders we've got, just the 4 central midfielders, and one of them, at least potentially 2, will go to African Cup of Nations in January and leave us ludicrously short. So I think Andre Gomez, I keep him unless the deal is good, but the talk was that he's got a bit of an ankle injury and is still not fit. Seamus Coleman back on the grass, but still not ready to join in with the group first team training. So it looks like Seamus is the only real absentee in that squad that I can think of, unless I'm missing something, Wes.
No, I think you're right. I think the international break, obviously there'd be a lot more Arsenal players who have gone away internationally, which could, be a benefit to us because, like you say, we've only got a small selection of internationals that tend to go away with the country. So, hopefully...
Sorry, Wes, also Gay and Patterson did go on international duty. Just thanks for the comments there. So there was the 5 international players.
Did Patterson play, though?
He played in the first game and was on the bench for the game they lost against England, and Pickford didn't actually play in that second match. It was Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the 5 internationals, hopefully they all come back in one piece because, they'll be needed. But how much of that international break will have done the favour for the majority of that squad? Because there's players like McNeil who needed minutes and fitness and time training. Harrison as well. Beto needed more bedding. And you look at that, I think it's been a really good opportunity to get the main majority of the players on the training pitch to build some chemistry and to give us a really strong, remaining 34 games of the season.
It's massive, isn't it? It's it's 2 weeks sort of trying to gel the team together. I mean, we already kind of saw little sprouts of a partnership between Danjuma and Beto. So hopefully it worked on that, in the past 2 weeks, and we can see a bit of fruition from that. But also, like you say, you're getting DCL back. I said this today. I don't think he'll start DCL. I think he'll start Beto because based on the performance in the last 1.5 games that he's played, you can't really drop the lad because he's put in a shift, hasn't he? So to bring DCL straight back in, I think it'd be a bit of a slap in the face for Beto.
I agree. I think that Beto is excellent with the ball played into his feet, holding it up and bringing others into play. I think Calvert-Lewin is very good when the ball is played into the air to bring it onto the chest, bring it down and cause disruption. I'd like to see Beto and Calvert-Lewin together kind of in training, working combinations as a front two. I also want to see, of course, the 4-5-1 that he favoured. McNeil, Harrison, Decore and Beto and Danjuma, the 4 of them as like a quadrant working together and building some combinations. I think that's more than 4, actually. That's 5. But just from that mix of attacking players, just getting them really nicely integrated, because that is the core there, Dave. That is the Calvert-Lewin and Beto. Chimiti will support them, but it'll be them 2 fighting it out or playing together. And then you've got Decore, Danjuma, McNeil, and there's not a lot there, is there? And of course, Jack Harrison. So want to see some chemistry built, and I think that in the training, it'll do them real good. Kevin also just mentioning the comments there that Jared Branthwaite was in the training video, which is good to see because he did withdraw from the England squad, the England under-21 squad, to have some procedure on something, even though he was playing for the season. So I wonder how much that was Daishi saying, can you, just the cynic in me is thinking, would you like to work with him over that international break, just get him up to speed and so drop that. But it's interesting. I would like to know in the comments, guys, really about starting lineups for this game against Arsenal, because Calvert-Lewin's fit. You've got pretty much everyone available, and you expect hopefully they'll come through. And And I want to know what people are thinking. Are they going for a 4-4-2? Are they going for a 4-5-1? I think, Dave, I suspect it'll be quite a similar team to what we've seen against Sheffield. And I suspect it'll be Beto up front, Dan Juma and McNeil on the wings with Abdoulaye Doucouré, Garnagay and Onana. And then Ashley Young, Tarkowski, Branthwaite and Patterson.
This is the conundrum, though, because you've got, obviously, Dan Juma, who's been playing on the left, and McNeil. So what do who do you swap? Do you put McNeil on the right and keep Dan Juma on the left? Where I mean, myself personally, I think he's not as effective on the right, McNeil, as what he in his natural position. So
no, he's not. He's not as effective on the right because he's very predictable on the right, but he's quite predictable on the left because he's always wants to go down the wing. But I think he's very strong on that left. And I could see, McNeil playing left midfield and Dan Juma and Beto at kind of like a post with Doucouré making the late runs off McNeil's crosses as a good solution to cause some problems to Arsenal. I suspect Arsenal will have 70% of the possession and that Everton will play very much a counter-attacking team, and we need the ball carriers who work hard there. I do apologise if the internet's not great. I've got the laptop saying I've got 4 bars of signal, but StreamYard are telling me I've got 1 and 2 bars, and I've got 5 megabytes per second internet. So just be where I am.
Shuddery.
It's a bit of a piss take, really. Maybe I can get some sort of line put in upstairs in this office, but do apologise. Maybe an extension will help. I'll look into it.
TJ Mid, I don't think we can play 4-4-2. I agree with him. I don't think we can play 4-4-2. I
don't expect I should do it in this game, though, will he? And I think he'll look at like the Luton Town game and things like that as an opportunity to play a 4-4-2 and play both those strikers. And I think that midfield a little bit more balanced because you just tell the 2 centre mids you are sitting. The fullbacks are going to get forward, and then you've got kind of the back 4 quadrant: Onana, Garner, Branthwaite, and Tarkowski. And then you can attack down the wings with your fullbacks, who, by the way, are very suspect. But you've got that option there to get them forward, have the protection, and then the 2 wings can tuck in, and the 2 strikers. I just think it could give some balance in certain games. But I suspect he'll go for the 4-5-1, and the only change will be McNeil coming in for James Garner. How much is that an issue, the James Garner situation? Does he still have a chance to start the game, maybe at right mid or right back or centre? Or think it's around in a square hole?
I'm wondering if he could play in the Doucouré position. I really am. Like, I want to see him in the centre of the park. I think that's where he can do his most damage. Out on the right, he's kind of wasted. But yeah, I'd like to see him in that hole behind the striker and between the midfield, and spreading the balls or little passes through the middle or whatever. But I don't think it's going to happen.
We haven't seen much evidence as good as James Garner's looked on the eye test. The stats don't really look that strong. No goals for Everton yet. And I can't recall an actual assist that I remember, like a really good through ball or an outstanding cross, unless I'm missing something here.
Didn't he pass the ball for Patterson for the goal against Sheffield United? Was it second goal?
He kind of got tackled, and it was a loose ball that Patterson picked up and crossed that post. I mean, maybe he's involved in the build-up quite well, but I don't know whether as a 10. I don't know whether the goals are there. I don't know whether the assists are there. I think he's kind of he was always 6 at Forest. He was a number 6, but I think there's more to come from him. I think we've seen a fraction of what he can do. So I suppose the Everton team really does pick itself. If anyone in the comments is disputing that, and maybe I don't know who you could start. Maybe Harrison. Does Calvert-Lewin start? Does Garner start? I think they're the only things. I imagine Mykolenko won't play. I mean, I watched him against England again, and he was at fault for the goal. He had the running in behind him, and I've lost patience with him. And Patterson being not good enough for Scotland, whereas really he didn't start against England. It's not starting every game for Scotland. But
I think what people
development do.
Yeah, I think what people have to realise is he's still only a young lad. And he's still
34 appearances in the Prem.
He's what? Sorry.
Made about 30 appearances, 35 appearances in first team football.
In realistically, that's nothing, is it? It's not really. He's not really sort of like established himself, and I think there's a lot to come from Patterson. He just needs to learn more, and unfortunately, I think he's in the wrong team to learn, because they're just going to keep coming under pressure.
And it's sad reality, because he got the assist in the end against Sheffield with a great cross. But I looked at the rest of the crossing in that game and I thought he was a bit of a weak link, and he was a bit of a weak link in some of the other games. But
we also had Seamus when he went on loan to Blackpool and stuff like that, and nobody really knew anything about Seamus. And then he went on loan to Blackpool and he come back and he was a first team regular, and he was absolutely superb. The early years of his career. So I think you just got to give the lad time. You know what I mean?
He's going to be a good player. He's going to be a good player. Mabsy, who's not on the stream, is asking if DCL's available yet. We've covered team news and he is fit. Just going to look at Arsenal's team news then, if that's okay. They haven't got many injuries, surprise guys, but hope the players coming back on international duty not as fresh as they could be. Mohamed El Neni, he's a long-term absentee. Jurien Timber is another, and Thomas Partey is a doubt. So I think he's well injured. Yeah, he's not back till October. So they haven't got a lot of injuries. You could say they can cope with them. The Timber was a new signing. El Neni, I don't think would start for them anyway. He's a fringe player. Partey is kind of a first team player, but they have signed others in that position. So I think they're well stocked in there. Of course, in the summer, Arsenal signed Declan Rice. I think one area Arsenal probably need is just an out-and-out centre footer. Wonder they'll be sniffing around someone like Beto next summer. You wouldn't be surprised, something like that. But Jesus is back. He got a goal against Man United. He's got very good movement, and he unfortunately always scores against Everton. He's a bit of an enigma. Someone we've absolutely got to worry about, and I think his movement and pace and skill really does concern me. In that midfield, they've got Odegaard, who's excellent with his late runs, and Everton notoriously poor at tracking those runners and the crosses coming across and those late runners. So I think Ryan Jon going to have to be very, very wary. I think that's another reason why we can't play a two-man midfield against Arsenal's three. Also in that midfield, Declan Rice, who I just mentioned, 105 million pounds signing. It's an extortionate amount of money. Good player, but stupid money. And they've got Kai Havertz. I don't know what that guy does. I think he's overrated. They paid silly money for him. But they've got a very balanced team, Arsenal, and they're fantastic players. Saka. But when I first saw him, I thought, who is this guy? I don't quite understand him. But over the last couple of seasons, he's become a world-class player. There's no doubt about that. And Gabriel Martinelli as well, left winger. He is an exceptional talent. In defence, of course, they've got Gabriel in there. They've got plenty of options at centre-back. I think Saliba is another one. Zinchenko, who they got from Man City. And you think Arsenal's first 11 are going to cause us some real problems. How do we deal with that threat then? And how do we control that midfield? Do we have to kind of sit back in this game, Dave, and accept that we're going to not have a lot of the ball and then try and punish Arsenal when they overcommit like we did last time? Maybe Calvert-Lewin was really good against Arsenal last season. I remember he was so unlucky to score.
Then got
injured from a set piece. Got injured, and didn't see him again. But he's so good in that game. I wonder whether Dyche should be tempted to find a way to get him in, or I think he'll come off the bench. But we're playing on the counter-attack then against Arsenal, and if so, we're sitting deep waiting for them to kind of give the ball away and then use Beto's speed in behind and support him with those couple of wingers?
You pretty much know at the start of the game you're not going to see a lot of the ball, so the best thing to do is close the spaces down, and which is what we did last season, and we stopped them from playing, and stop the likes of Odegaard making them runs, and Saka last season, even though it was Michalenko was brilliant against Saka. Absolutely brilliant against Saka. And we stopped them playing, and then we forced them into making mistakes. They were trying to force the game. They were in, such a panic that, they needed to win this game, and they needed to win. Now, at this stage of the season now is probably the worst time of the season to play them. Like 5 games in, they're already bedded in. Where, if you play them very first, you've seen the amount of games at the very first game of the season that there's upsets. But we're 5 games in now. They're settled. They're on a bit of a run. But we've
I'm not
also
sure about that,
very
Wes.
well.
I'm not sure about that, Wes, because I think Arsenal see themselves as title contenders. Man City have won every single match with fail. Arsenal got points to Fulham in the last match. So there is kind of an absolute huge amount of pressure already just off losing those 2 points. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you're playing your competitors, Man City, and they draw so few points a season. And I think the pressure will be on Arsenal to come and win at Goodison. And I think what we need to do, absolutely, is just stifle them, be very aggressive, be very strong on the set pieces, not make silly mistakes and overplay in defence. But when we do get the ball, we have to be effective. And I think when we sucker Arsenal in and push them wide like we did last season, and then try and win the ball back when it's wide, because the thing is, Saka and Martinelli, they play wide, but they want to cut inside. So if we can push them wide and force them into making mistakes, giving the ball away, turn the ball over, and then launch some very quick counter-attacks, I think will cause Arsenal some serious problems. But they will continue to probe and switch the play and look for the crosses and the pullbacks. If we can narrow that space, as you say, Wes, we can try and negate that as best as we can. Protect the edge of the box where Odegaard and the likes of him will be loitering. Watch Jesus. Can we play him offside? Or are we going to give him too much space? Try and avoid that. I think we will sit deep. I don't think we're as worried about the aerial threat from crosses. I think it's all about edge of the box and sort of passes around the box. So I think work extremely hard, negate the spaces, win the ball back, turn them over, frustrate Arsenal, let them overcommit players in desperation because they need the win. I apologise, he's about to walk across the screen. Do apologise. Let them overcommit and then sucker punch them. And I think we'll get it. I think we will beat them. I think this will be the turning point of the season for Everton. I think Beto will score, and I think we'll win 0. And I think it will be the complete turning point for Everton's fortunes. And I think we've got a first 11 that can compete. The thing that worries me, Wes, is if we have 1 or 2 injuries, if we lose a centre half, if we lose one of the centre mids, or we lose a winger, I think we're a bit. I mean,
light numbers.
What's the situation on Mikalenko then? I mean, we're talking about him in the comments. He let Saka go. It was actually Walker. There was a bit of miscommunication in that defence, and he didn't know whether the ball would pop off. Does Mikalenko state a case just on his performance this season, or do you have to go for the here and now?
I think based on his performance against England, and the game that he did come in for, it wasn't great. I just think he's just not Premiership quality. Mikalenko, he had a great game last season, but one swift doesn't make a swallow. A summer does it. So,
Mr. Fem in the comments is saying no. Oh, Mikalenko young is terrible. I wonder whether how much is that's to do with the set piece problems that we've got. But I do think you can compensate for the play a couple of players that are a bit substandard, because we have got now, in my opinion, a couple of players who are Champions League quality in Dana and B, and I think absolutely will score goals for us. I also think Onana, Pickford, Branthwaite, if that spine, that central spine, and Danjuma there as well, are very good footballers, and
definitely.
we should be fairly relaxed about things at the age unless we start losing.
Yeah, I mean,
in which case he'll get sacked, mate. He'll get sacked because he's got good players there now.
Like you say, the only worry for us is the defence. You know, if Keane comes in, if Branthwaite is injured and Keane comes in, we're not winning this game. Not a chance in hell. I did read something today that Saka said he's been playing with an injury since last season. Now, obviously that's not affecting his performances, is it? You know what I mean? So
we need to play on that. Well, me saying in the comments we don't have any Champions League quality players. By that I mean Champions League quality is quite a broad spectrum. As you know, you've got teams from some random in there, but what I'm talking about is like Danjuma were really good in that for Villarreal in that season. They finished at the semi-finals of the Champions League, and I think there are a few there that are a lot better than relegation standard players. You know, good players. Danjuma offers a real threat. Beto offers a real threat. McNeil, you've seen he's got quality. Harrison's got quality. Calvert-Lewin's got quality when he's on the pitch. Onana and Gay are top players. What they do, and I think there's weakness in the fullback areas and squad depth, and a lack of creativity maybe from the centre. But there's enough there to get points. And Dyche is going to be under massive threat. I think if he loses this game and doesn't get points in the 2 subsequent games, you know, he's going to be under trouble, because I think there's an expectation for us to do better. Because ultimately results matter, don't they? Performances are good, results are the most important thing.
The two home games that we've played up to now, we've played really well. You know,
and we'd have won them, I'm sure, with those two up front, Beto and
100% would have won them
Danjuma.
2 games. If we'd have had Beto in and Danjuma in them games, we'd have 100% won them games. Now, that, you know, whether that's down to poor management where we didn't get them in time, or you know, they waited until the end of the window to get Beto in. You know, the window opened the 1st of January. Or was it? No, September, August, wasn't it? End of August, the window opened. I'm talking about the winter window.
I think it was just a difficult deal to get done. I don't think it could have been done as fast
Well,
as...
How could it have been difficult when we didn't pay any money for them up front? That couldn't have been that difficult. Could it? Like, come on.
I don't know. I think it was an exceptional
because once again, DCL got fit, and he thought, well, you know, we'll see how it goes. Then he gets injured. Then it's panic stations. We need to get somebody in. We need to get somebody in. That's what it's boiled down.
I think we've been chasing him since January. Dave, we've been chasing him since. It's been a difficult deal to get done.
I think the injury to DCL forced their hand, and rather than get him in earlier in the window, they've waited because DCL's being injured to then push a deal through. If it wasn't going to cost them a penny at the end of the window, surely it wasn't going to cost them a penny at the beginning of the window or the middle of the window.
No, but the negotiations changed based on different circumstances. They might have changed their stance, so the player might have turned around and said, "I'm going. My head's not here." He started for Udinese. I definitely don't think it was an easy deal to do, and I think it was a complete masterstroke. I think some of the other ones could have been done earlier, like the Jack Harrison, but they were waiting on his injury to see how that responded.
But that was
they've got to weigh up the balance of do I get him in earlier? I'm not saying they could. They actually could get them in earlier anyway. Do we pay his wages from the first thing and actually benefit from them in the pre-season, or do we wait late because we've skint? We can't actually afford to pay. But it's a cynical approach thinking about it.
The thing is, though, right, is that if we'd have had him in at the Fulham game, and we'd have won that game, you know, his wages would be immaterial. We'd now be sitting like in the top 10 of the league if we'd be Fulham.
Well, it could be worth 6 points, and that could be 1 or 2 places higher in the league, which is another couple of £4 million. So I agree, but I don't think it was as white. Oh, well, we could have just done it earlier. I think we couldn't have done it. I also think some of it was waiting for the financial year to end as well for some of the business, and we didn't spend any money. Anyway, Dave, I don't think we should make this a transfer show.
No.
I don't think we should make it a transfer show yet, but we'll come back to transfers probably end of December and review that. Got a few good comments coming in, a few regulars in there, a few familiar faces. We've got a friend Jeff in there, former channel contributor, a friend of the show. We've got Eugene, the Blues, Kevin Kraft, Peter Duggan, TJ Mid, Mr. Blue Skies. Thank you all so much. Many others as well. Smash that like button for me. I think we'll cause Arsenal problems because I think we've got players who they won't like: physical, aggressive, tough, powerful players in midfield and up front. I think we'll get chances. Keeping them out is going to be a problem. I think our defence is a bit sus. I think Tarkowski's been poor this season and Branthwaite's learning his trade. We'll learn about Jared in this game, where his level's at. If he does well, I'd be handing contract offer in front of him as soon as possible because, you know, if he's good enough to keep a clean sheet against someone like Arsenal, there's going to be top teams sniffing around him at his age and with his attributes. But keeping a clean sheet is going to be massive. I suspect it'll be a mid to low block. We'll suffocate them as much as we can, block the midfield, the ball back counter. And I'd like to see us, you know, I just think the fans deserve a lift as well. You know, I mean, for everything they're going through with the 7-7 partners thing at the moment is looking beyond a farce. Read yesterday that one of their juniors were raising £5 million. I read this morning that they were paid a month late, £900,000 to the British basketball, something or other. There's just constant sort of negative press and information coming out about them. So we just deserve we deserve a bit of normality, and we deserve and we need to make Goodison a fortress. It's too easy to come to Goodison and beat us. And I do think we find it a little bit easier to raise our game against these sorts of teams.
The thing is like, is Bashiri that desperate to sell that he will just sell to, you know, the highest bidder sort of thing, and, you know, bugger us right up because he put us back in the hands of basically going in from the frying pan into the fire. You know what I mean? It's like,
he wants 500 million quid for his equity, and then there's 100 million to invest in the stadium, to finish that build rather, to invest in the squad, and to pay off these debts. I mean, so you've got to have £1 billion to invest. I don't think 7 partners have got it.
They've got 12,
anyway.
They've got 12 billion in assets, 777 partners. But it's assets. It's
Aren't they a group of investors? Aren't they a group of investors?
Yeah, but they've got 12 billion in assets, but assets doesn't mean anything. That just means that you can lend money off people because you've got assets of 12 billion.
Yeah, but they're just borrowing, leveraging everything against their assets. Accumulate more assets and then strip. I don't know. I don't know enough about the business side of it. That's why we have other people on here and not me.
But the only good thing that I read about them was that they wanted to sort of open things up where, you know, you get your car insurance or your house insurance or your mobile phone through your football club. You know, and if people can get a good deal, you know, if you're an Evertonian, you can go and get car insurance through Everton. You're probably going to go and do that. You're going to get a good deal. Do you know what I mean? So that brings in revenue, doesn't it? But it all adds to the pot, right? I mean, car insurance is a multi-billion-pound business.
Dave, you make me laugh. I'm gonna get your prediction, please, for this game before I go to the comments.
My predictions, I'm gonna go 1-0 to the Blues.
Yeah, we've got a really good record at home against Arsenal, winning the last 3. It's when we go away, we typically just fold and play a stupid high line and get absolutely terrored. Let's have a look at some of these comments. We wrap things up here. Thank you for everyone joining. If you're new, of course, subscribe and make sure you like the video regardless. Misa FM saying that Arsenal centre-backs are brilliant and we're going to have a difficult time to do that. The Blue, you can talk about tactics all you like, but games against the top sides are decided by a gulf in class. I don't think it's always as black and white as that, the Blues. I mean, we drew with Man City
last season. We wouldn't have beat them last season if that was the case. Yeah, the better teams generally win the games, but it depends if you're up for it. You know what I mean? Like Everton was up for it last season against Arsenal. People are saying Arsenal had a bad day, had an off day. I'd say that Everton had a good day and Arsenal wasn't at the very best.
No, and that's what has to happen again, and that's a lot of going to be down to the crowd. Can we make this a bear pit and horrible for Arsenal? And I really hope we will. It's my first game that I'm actually going to this season that I can actually visit. I do have a ticket for sale in the top balcony if anyone's looking for a ticket. So to me, Onana's key to the game. I mean, the midfield battle's going to be massive. If Onana doesn't have a good game, I think Arsenal are just going to, railroad us with quality they've got. I'm not sure about Havertz, but I think the other two. I think Havertz is like a shoe-in to get subbed off for a poor performance at Goodison. Like you can, I probably jinxed it, but you can just imagine he gets sacrificed defensive fielder at like 60 minutes or something. The press conference is at 1:30 tomorrow. Thanks for that. That's from Eugene. Peter will not tolerate James Garner being played out of position.
Hang on. There's just what the Blues just said.
Can you do them? Because it's lagging for me a little bit, Dave.
Yeah, the Blues just said they had an off day. All of their plays were shocking against us. I wouldn't say they were shocking. I think we stopped them playing. There's a difference between... They didn't have the best game. I agree with that, the Blues, but I wouldn't say that they had an off day. I think we played really well and stopped them playing. And then, punched them. Mr. Blue Skies as well is going for 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me because I don't think we'll actually keep a clean sheet.
Kevin's going for 2-1. Is right, Kevin?
Nice one, Kev.
Oh, someone's not so optimistic. Being realistic. It's the other way around though. Be Everton 0, Arsenal 5.
They're within their rights to predict that, and I think there will be people who think that Arsenal will turn up and just absolutely tear us because I think we've got good players. I think we can compete with the vast majority with a bit of Everton. I think we can compete with many teams, but Arsenal found a way to get wins. I think 5-0 would be a bit of a disaster. The only way I could see that happening actually is if Michael Keane starts with Ben Godfrey as the centre halves. I think that would be like jumping off a bridge.
Oh, forget about it then. Like it could be a cricket score.
Go home.
Yeah, Jeff is going for a draw as well. So
I'll take a point now. I'll be honest with you. I'll take a point.
A draw's not disastrous at the end of the day because it gives us a bit of confidence going into the Brentford game. So yeah, I'll take a draw all day, but we want the 3 points.
Yeah, a point at home against Arsenal, you can't argue at the moment would be a good result.
I think if we play as well as what we did in the Fulham and Wolves game and score goals, we could probably be a match easy for them.
But the difference is in those games we played on the front foot, whereas in the game I don't think we'll play on the front foot. I think we'll sit back. And I think we'll play on the front foot against the lower teams, but I don't think we'll do it against someone like Arsenal. I think we'll just sit back and concede possession to them and wait for them to make a mistake and run up the end and score.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I think it depends how brave Dyche wants to be.
But if he wants to be brave, he can go 4-4. But then... and just try and control the game and get balls into the box, but we'll just get done on the counter with the lack of pace we've got. We've got no speed, and they've got very fast players.
Peter's saying we've got a team that's good enough to stay up, but we don't have a Premier League level manager. That's the problem for us at the moment, in his opinion.
I'm giving Dyche the benefit out a little bit. I was impressed. Last season we were 34 minutes away from being relegated. But I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt for now. If we lose the next 3 or 4 games, I think there'll be some serious question marks over what's going on.
Yeah, like I say, out of 3 out of the 4 games that we've played up to now, we haven't looked bad. We've looked good going forward. It's just we've struggled to put it in the back.
Is he not coaching the strikers to put the ball in the goal?
Well, we didn't have any strikers, did we?
Well, everyone, there's not. You can't just rely on the strikers. He's the manager. He's coaching the players, I'm assuming. and none of them could finish. So I'd say I couldn't just blame it on an individual. None of them could finish. I mean, I think someone like Beto and Danjuma now will bail us out, and Harrison, I think they'll all score goals, but he's got to take responsibility. He's the manager.
We was like, before the international break, I think we was like third in the stat league of most shots on target. I think we had something like 18 shots on target in 4 games, which it's a starting point, isn't it? All you got to do now is actually get it behind the goalkeeper.
I think we'll be fine, as I say. I think we'll come good.
Yeah, I do. I think.
We will be under pressure. It's inevitable. Are there any more comments before we wrap things up, Mr. Wes?
Mr. Blue Skies saying, would you start playing Onana, a defensive midfielder, and really good in that position for Belgium?
He is good in that position for Belgium. And I think he is a 6. I think 6 is his best attribute for me, is the tackling and the short passing. And I don't know whether with his back to goal and playing between the lines and all that and box to box and finishing, I don't think that's his strength, really. But he loves Ghana there.
Did you read the interview with Tom Davies?
I knew that anyway because I've got a source who told me he wanted to play as a number 10 and he wants to play as an attacking midfielder, straight.
Yeah.
He didn't want to play as a 6.
Is that what's happening now? Will they say you've got Onana who plays as a number 6 for Belgium, and he's not playing that position for Everton? Are we going to get players like him? Are we going to get frustrated and want to leave?
He's like a 6 hybrid 8, really, in the system. He's not really, kind of just goes up and down. But yeah, I don't think it's as black and white in this system. I think if we go 4-4-2, I think it'll become a little bit more rigid positionally for people.
Oh,
B2. I think we really judge Dyche now, guys, on how he does now. He's got that quality of player. Beto, Danjuma, Calvert-Lewin, McNeil, Harrison. Now Onana, Gay. Now he's got that quality of player and they're available. I think really judge Dyche over this next period and see how he does.
The B-Tunes there just said, forgetting Lewis Dobbin. We always knew that Lewis Dobbin was going to be benched once we started players getting them back from injuries and stuff. He was only a shoe-in for the couple of games that he was that we needed him for. So it's not like we're forgetting him. We just know that he's not going to get a lot of game time.
Yeah, I don't think Lewis Dobbins against was it Doncaster? He was just, everything he did was terrible. Same with Chimiti. They looked way out of place. But I think it's a case of easing him in, and I think he's got pace in the attributes. I think again he's a left winger, and he's very quick feet, talented. But I think the physique needs to obviously develop, and I think
the thing is, with players like that, how long do you keep sending them out on loan for before you realise maybe he's just not going to cut it?
I think it's really early days with him. He's young, so he's got plenty of time to develop, and I think it's better to keep him given the short list. I think if we got none, I think Dobbin would have been allowed to go on loan.
How old is he anyway, Dobbin? Was he 21,
I'm
22?
Sure he's 19 or 20. I'm 19. Sure he's young. I think he's young, yeah.
At that age, they should be breaking into this first teams, though. You know what I mean? Now, otherwise, they never will. They should be
breaking at any time. Could break it at any time. Branthwaite's only just coming through Premier League now, 22.
Yeah, but he's just had a successful loan of Feyenoord, hasn't he? Or PSV.
No,
PSV.
I think Dobbin's a bit behind that development at the moment. So they're talking about
Mr. Blue Sky saying there we don't have enough wingers to loan Dobbin out.
No,
right side of the wing.
We're not putting him. I don't like the Andre Gomez situation either, because I just think you can't have so few central midfield. What if we actually have a game at home where we need to take control of possession and play with the ball? You know, he's not a bad footballer on the ball when he hasn't got the defensive responsibilities.
This is the thing, that because we've got ourselves in such a mess with the finances and stuff, he doesn't seem to care that the team's really thin on the ground. You know what I mean? So he's just trying to offload players to keep within the rules. So I don't know. It's like he wants to get Gomez off the wage wage list, and But I read something there the other day that there's I think it's in 3 years or something, or maybe it might be since Mashiri came in, that there's only 2 teams that have been in credit in transfer spends, and obviously one of them is Brighton, and the other one's us. You know what I mean? I think there was something like only 4 million in credit. The net spend was something like 50 odd million, and it was 4 million above that, which was recouped.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder why we're in trouble with the FFP if that's the case.
Again, it's not so black and white. We'll soon see. Where's that? I think I'm ready to wrap things up here. Do you knew we see to the back end of the studio? Have you got any idea how to close this off?
You're asking the question.
Let's say goodbye to people first and see how he gets on. So there's a button saying end stream bottom right. Let's just say goodbye to people first. Go on, thank you for watching.
Goodbye all.
This is Wes. He's going to end his first ever stream. There should be an end stream button or exit or something in the bottom corner.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I don't want to press it. It's like
you can press it as we're going. You can press it. Go on.
Have a good weekend, Blues.